Good morning. I'm Terry Post Martin. I'm going to be talking to you this morning about OPSEC. I can see all thrilled faces. Raise your hand if you think you've heard enough about OPSEC for your whole career. Raise your hand. Okay, that's great. Then why are people still making mistakes? One of the reasons we talk about OPSEC regularly is because people are always saying things they shouldn't in the wrong place or posting things where they shouldn't. So let's go over this today. Okay, these are the things I'm going to talk about. Please take good notes. Over the next 2 hours, we'll cover all these topics, and the test at the end is quite difficult. No one believes me, I know. Okay, I wish I had a test, but I only have it for a few minutes, so we'll go over what I can quickly. So, I have to begin here, sorry.
Hello there! We're going to be deployed tomorrow in 0400 hours with a team of 36 people. We'll be gone 23 days. Please don't tell anyone, since this mission gives us a tactical advantage. And if someone were to ambush us when we arrived on March 22nd behind enemy lines, we would all be vulnerable.
You wouldn't tell everyone in public about your deployment details.
That is all.
Why would you tell everyone on the internet?
And that is our biggest problem these days, isn't it? It's people posting things they shouldn't on the internet. But we also have the old-fashioned thing. People going downtown talking about things to people that they don't work with and they shouldn't be talking about sensitive things about. So, OPSEC, it's about unclassified information, but sensitive unclassified information. Everybody here is very aware, of course, that if you reveal classified information to the wrong people, that there are very serious consequences. But not everybody is as careful about sensitive unclassified information, so that's why we have to talk about OPSEC. Sometimes it's just talking about a deployment before you should, or getting information about an operation like we just saw in the video before you should. Okay, the video is corny, but that's the kind of stuff that's happening all the time, because people are posting things that they shouldn't on the internet. It also affects your family life. I hope everybody here is aware of the fact that there are terrorist organizations that have threatened the families of American servicemen. So it's not just you that's at risk. If you put things online that might put your family at risk, you should be aware that you are doing that. So, social media is actually used as a weapon by the enemy, or potential adversaries. They will go on the internet and find out as much information as they can about any military member to make sure that they have all the information they need to affect our operations. And believe me, they can find out a lot of information. I was challenged a couple years ago by one of the colonels on base to find out as much as I could about somebody online when I was not a friend of theirs or a contact of theirs in any social media. So I found someone that was posting on the Mountain Home, posting on the Air Force Facebook site that I knew when he was stationed here several years ago. And then I contacted him and asked him if it was okay if I did this experiment, and he said, okay. I think he may be, currently, he's probably concerned that he gave me permission to do that because it didn't turn out well. I found out a lot of information, some of it sensitive that you don't want people to know on the internet. And then I found out even more information. Now this again was almost 2.5 years ago. Things were very tense in a certain part of the world, other than the places we're normally deploying to. And if you remember that period of time, you probably are aware of what country it was that he was concerned he was going to have to deploy to take care of another situation. So a lot of information on the internet. How long do you think it took me to find all this information? How long? Anybody? Well, I'm not going to go until you give me a response. Go ahead. Sorry? No, 30 minutes. And actually I found a lot more information, obviously, that I didn't put up here. Only 30 minutes to find out sensitive military-related information. So you don't know what you're putting out there sometimes, or what other people are putting out about you. But these guys will find it. The bad guys are making it one of their goals to find out as much information as they can about you. And these are the things that we are talking about. The critical information items that are the types of things that if the enemy finds out about, they can affect our operations, affect our mission, and impact you and the people you work with daily. So who wants to know about you? Anybody? Any ideas? Who wants to know about it? You? Any of these guys? These are what we might call the traditional potential adversaries of the United States, people who have made it known that they are against us in one way or another. And yes, they are wanting to find out information about you and what you do. So, are these the only ones? Nope. All sorts of people. All sorts of people want to know what you're doing in your daily work. And they'll do anything they can to find out, and obviously the internet is one way, but they'll do other things to find out what you're doing. Is anybody here familiar with our local homegrown terrorist, Kurbanov? Anybody heard about that? He's in jail now, thank goodness, but he did have quite a run of when he was very active in this area. When they arrested him, they had all sorts of information about what he'd been doing, and one of them, a map, showed that he had visited or tried to get onto Mount Holm Air Force Base. I don't think he actually went up to the gate. He saw that it was hard to get through and he didn't come. But he did go outside the base, and he wanted to impact the base by potentially targeting people. And he did have bomb-making materials, and he had been active in bomb-making activities in this whole region. So he's in jail. We can be thankful for that. But so those of you who think that in the middle of nowhere, Idaho, you're safe, you're not. So remember that. Okay, so some of the things that are vulnerabilities. We've had people who, before deployment, are bragging about the fact that they're going on the deployment, like on the ADVALON team, so that they're just bragging about that downtown. Not something you brag about to people who are people you work with, you know, and they know you can't brag about it because they're going too, right? But social networking is the main vector that people are finding out information about us. Also, sensitive papers being thrown in the trash or the recycle bin. How many people have been here long enough to know that we have a 100% shred policy here on space? 100% shred, you guys don't know that? Okay, some of you do. 100% shred, not to the strip level that you can put these kind of things back together really easily. We took this out of somebody's recycle bin, put it back together in a short period of time. And that's sensitive personal information that they just strip shredded. But not to this level here, not to this level here, but to this level. This is the same size that you shred classified information. And one of the reasons why we do that is because it is now possible with technology to actually put shredded paper back together using an image of the shred and software to actually put that back together. So it has to be completely unreadable. So all military-related papers, whether they're unclassified or classified, FOUO or not, they have to be shredded in a high-security shredder on the space, okay? Even Post-it notes. Any questions? Okay. So why do those potential enemies or current adversaries care about what you do here in Mount Holm? This is why. Because when we deploy, we are lethal. We are putting bombs on foreheads, and we're killing the bad guys every time we deploy. And we're very effective at it. They want to know what you do, whether you have anything to do with, if you've never even touched a jet in your life. Everything that people do on this base to make it work, they want to know how that happens so they can stop us. If you don't understand that you are part of this lethal package, then we need to think about that now, because they care about what you do. You can only imagine that there are many people around the world who are having intelligence briefings about what you do to get your job done. So don't give them the information. Don't let them know, because if you do, then you're going to put yourself at risk and the other people that you work with. And family involvement is really critical. Who here does not have a Facebook account? Raise your hand. That's great. Do you know what that means? You don't know what people are saying about you on Facebook. Okay, I'm not saying go out and get a Facebook account for that reason, but you have to understand that your family and friends are possibly posting things about you in your deployments and trainings and things like that that you don't even know about. So you need to talk to them to make sure they don't do that kind of thing, okay? So this video is a little corny as well, but I think it'll kind of tie it all together.
Chloe, I need that location. That plane full of soldiers is gonna land soon.
Jack, I'm on it. Second floor.
What room number? You tracking me?
I see you. I'm pinpointing you now. Room 217.
Stop posting sensitive information on Facebook. I'll take it down, I promise. Practice better operational security.
Okay, just a little corny, but hopefully you can see that it does apply to us. Do you have any questions at all about OPSEC or how it applies to you? Okay, thank you very much for your time today, and welcome to Mountain
Healthy and everything? Hear me, Becca? Do I really need that microphone?
Yes, you do.
Okay. All right, I'm going to do the safety briefing for you guys' right start today. And look, so here's some of the stuff we'll go over today. By the way, I'm Brian Reynolds. I work at the safety office here on base. So if you guys have any safety concerns out in units or off duty, bring them to us. We'll address them or do a risk assessment. All right, our goal is to prevent mishaps. How? Through safety education, compliance inspections, and mishap investigations. Okay, we get a lot of mishaps here on base, whether it's finger cuts, head bangs, or eagle bites, we call them. And we have to investigate those to determine what class and how much it costs the government. Okay, so with that said, just report if you guys get injured or anything to your supervisors. They'll report it to us through a 978. And we'll take care of it that way. Okay, here's your on-base speed limits. 30 miles an hour, unless posted otherwise. Pretty much around the schools and base housing, watch your speeds through there. CE does not like to post speed limit signs or other signs on base because it gets too congested with signs. So just know the area that you're driving in. Security forces will cite you. So, and watch the kids in the crosswalks. So they like to not look and just go right across. Seatbelts are mandatory on base, hands-free. We have a lot of violations with the hands-free. And Meridian and Boise are now going to hands-free completely. So be careful when you're driving in those areas. All right, off-base, speed limits. Here on air base, it's 65 miles an hour coming here to base. On I-84, it's 80 miles an hour. So with that speed, that's one of the fastest ones in the country. So we get a lot of accidents in between Boise and Mountain Home. Also, from Mountain Home to here, we get quite a few accidents for that distance. So just be aware and be, observant of, road rage and all that stuff, because you get people going 90 miles an hour down that road. They're trying to pass you and everything else. So just move over for them. All right, bicycles, skateboards, rollerblades, kick scooters. There's your PPE requirements for your kids and everything else. Like I said, we had 2 children in the crosswalk, just bolt out in front of a car. The first one made it by, the second one got hit. Luckily, it wasn't very much injuries. It was a concussion, and I think busted tooth. So be aware of the crosswalks. And there you go. All right, local driving hazards. Like I said, I-84, we have the most accidents in the state on that stretch of highway. So be very careful out there. Watch the black ice on that, and right in the middle, there's
huge section that gets covered with black ice every year. So just be familiar with that area and slow down. We got open range. Everybody know what open range is? Anybody not know? Okay, good. Unprotected railroad crossings, we have quite a few of those. We had a young teenager take her dad's truck and got hit by a train. She was okay, truck was totaled, so make sure you know where those unprotected railroad crossings are. We got a lot of changing weather here, as you can see. Yesterday was pretty nice out in the 50s, I think it was. Today we got ice, we got drizzling, freezing rain. So gravel on the roads, large trucks in on the highway. Watch that in between Bypass Road and out here on Grandview. We get a lot of gravel, a lot of big trucks. So when you guys are traveling and doing that 65 miles an hour to come to base, those trucks like to pull out in front of you, especially in the dark. Be careful. Those trucks they'll take control of that road and they'll make you stop, basically. So be prepared for that. Alright, so these are kind of old statistics from 2012 to 2016. We had 441 mishaps, or accidents, should I say, on that Boise to Mount Home. I know you can't really see it too well. We're trying to get an updated number for you guys, so when we start briefing this, we can kind of hit it more, so you guys can see the impact on it. But 11 fatalities, 342 injuries out of those 411. So pretty dramatic with the 80 miles an hour. Most of those they're doing about 90 miles an hour. So, and we get the big rigs out there too, so you get those guys lined up together and then you get road rage and everything else added in. You're talking accident waiting to happen. And then the black ice also. So be careful on that stretch. Mountain Home, same years, 30 vehicle accidents, 14 injuries. Those are just reported numbers too. Some of the numbers weren't reported because it was personal rollover or something like that. A tow truck came out, picked them up, and a ISP didn't report. So, or a local police department didn't report. So, just be aware on Air Base Road, that turn right there on the bottom, I guess it would be your guys' left-hand side there. That's Grandview entrance there where the trucks come in. So be very careful there. Motorcycle riders, got any here? Very careful on that turn. We get a lot of accidents. Within the last 6 months, we've had 2 there. So just be very careful. And that's because people pulling out in front of the bikes they didn't see them. Unprotected railroad crossings, there's what they look like. Here's some of the weather that we get here. We get everything here. Dust, wind, rain, fog. So just be aware of that. Out towards Bruno Dunes. Anybody returning back here or first time or returning to Mountain Home that's been here before? Nobody, so you're all new? Returning? Okay, so you guys, if you've ever been out to Bruno Dunes, it's got a lot of cliff areas. That truck went off the road there on the other side, flipped it all the way around, facing the back direction where it came from, landed on the other side. Very lucky to be alive. So, as you can see, not a very good example by first responders. It should have been tied off right there. Just some safety. All right, on Air Base out here, there's 2 bus stops. One leaving the base, one coming to base. And there's the times right there. Be aware when those bus stops, the 2 lanes going in the direction of that bus have to stop. The other 2 lanes can proceed. So we get a lot of people that think that because the bus is on the other side going the opposite direction, they have to stop on that lane, on the opposite direction. Don't stop, keep going. Everybody with the direction of the bus has to stop, like you see there. There's the 2 bus stops. Like I said, that's Grandview corner there, so just be familiar with those bus stops. There's 2 houses, I think, over there, one on the left, one on the right, so they're right across from each other. All right, here's some of the defensive driving stuff. We are kind of far from the major cities, Seattle and Portland and all that stuff, or if you want to go to Utah, about 3.5 hours. Just avoid the fatigue driving, stuff like that. You know, no drinking and driving, and that kind of stuff. Make sure you have a good plan. Anybody with kids under 6? I know there's some in here. All right. Child seats. If you don't know how to install them, the fire department here on our base will help you. Also, downtown fire department can help you. Pretty much 90% of car seats are installed incorrectly. So, just to be aware. All right, motorcycles and mopeds. So anything over 49 cc's has to have the motorcycle class and all that stuff. Here's some of the PPE requirements. We do have a few motorcycle riders in here, so if you have questions, get with your MSRs with your units, or myself, and I'll answer them. All right, we contract all our motorcycle stuff out with Idaho Star. So if you have any questions about scheduling your recurring training or your annual training, get with those guys and they'll set you up. Right now with the COV stuff, all classes for April have been canceled. So basically, I'm sorry, all classes for March have been canceled. April and May, they're doing an online course for the classroom portion, and then they'll meet up out at the range and set you up for the rest of the class. But they'll explain all that with that number. Just give them a call. DUIs, don't do it. Recreational activities, GPS, gear, plan, and skills, okay? Answer those questions before you go out camping or before you go out hiking, because we get a lot of stuff happening out there. We got to call search and rescue out for a lot of people and stuff like that in the state, so get lost out in those hills. Idaho wildlife, be aware of your surroundings because we get those rattlesnakes down there quite a bit, and you could run into some of those other animals there. On base, those little guys down on the bottom, whistle pigs, don't swerve to hit them, cause an accident, just run them over. Like I said, any hazards or safety concerns you have out in your sections or your work centers or off base, let us know. We'll try to address them and get with local community to help out. Any questions for me? All right, welcome everybody, and glad you're here.
Good morning, my name is Katie Goodman and I'm here to talk about the Key Spouse program. So if you've been anywhere else in the Air Force, the Key Spouse program has been around for about a decade, a little bit more, as a formalized program, and it's standardized across the Air Force. So even after you leave here, you'll see it everywhere. What is it? So the Key Spouse program is a commander's program. It's a family readiness program. The point of it is to increase communication, increase readiness, and at the squadron level. So, a squadron commander will assign key spouses. Key spouses are volunteers. They're volunteer spouses as part of the squadron, and these volunteers are then trained in the AFRC, and they're trained in communication, crisis management, suicide, sexual assault. All this training they get in order, that's sexual assault prevention. All this training they get so that they can assist the commander for family readiness. So what does it look like? What are they doing? What are they not doing? So some of the things they're not doing, this is not a social club, it's not a booster club. It doesn't include fees, there's no cost involved. The Key Spouse program is not a way to create a database for volunteers or a database for direct sales. It's none of those things. It truly is the commander's readiness program to make sure families are ready, as well as the active duty member is ready for whatever's coming up. So right now, we're kind of in the midst of unusual circumstances, and the Key Spouse program has come on strong. So all the communication, families wondering what's going on with the base, what's going on with the tempo of work, what's going on, all those, and the opposite of pushing up their needs to the squadron, all those things are happening because of the Key Spouse program. So they've kind of gone into hyperdrive. So whereas the Key Spouses may be passing down information during deployment, now they're passing down information weekly. They're sending the information that the commander wants the families to know, and what's important for them to know to keep them safe and keep their members safe and increase their readiness. So one instance, there's a family, the active duty member is deployed at this point, and their child is immunosuppressed. So they have a young child in the home. It's not a time to be out, even at the grocery stores, for this child. There's nowhere that this family should be going, and they don't have their member at home. Well, as the key spouse is calling and checking and saying, how's it going? And it turns out to be the mother with this young child saying, I don't feel safe leaving and taking my child out into anywhere, in the commissary, anywhere. And so it was that being elevated to the commander, and now this family is taken care of. This family is getting things brought to them so that they don't have to put themselves at risk. So that happened because that communication was set up ahead of time. Because this spouse knows their key spouse knows them, and this could be taken care of. And that's one of the things the commanders are putting out. They're saying, hey, key spouses, find out if these circumstances are in our squadron, and so that they can meet the needs of the families. So how does this work? How do we know who the spouses are? The only way we know is through you, through those here that are the member, the active duty member, the civilian member. By giving your spouse's contact information to your commander, often it's done through the first sergeant. That is how that information gets sent to the key spouses. This is protected information. Like I said, it's not used for anything other than this program. But this is a way that they can have a roster, a recall roster, be able to contact all the families when that needs to be done. Also, to get that information from the families to the commander. So if you're here today and you have a spouse, on the sheet that is like the evaluation sheet in front of you, there's a section, I don't know if it's in the correct order, but there's a section for the key spouse. Please put your contact information of the spouse. So this should be their name, a phone number, email, and then what squadron you're in. And so it can get to the routed through the right squadron. Are there any questions about the Key Spouse program? All right. Right now we're going to do a spouse's tour. So if you are in the audience right now and you're a spouse, you can just walk back with me to the back, and we're going to do that, and then all the members and civilians can stay here. All right, thank you.
All right, so I'm Erin Martinez. I'll be doing your mental health / ADAP briefing. So how many of you guys are familiar with like mental health and ADAP? Just a few of you? All right. So as we know, like people speak mental health in regards to many different issues, like if they have eating disorders, if they're bipolar, personality disorders, it sounds like suicidal, homicidal. Those are resources that we offer for active duty members. Additional resources that you can always go to, we have your VHOP. Vacancy dependents as well. They're located in the med group. You also have your MFLAG military one source that you can use as well. And then of course, like our primary briefing that we're going to be doing today is about ADAP. So how many of you guys are under 21? A couple of you? So as we know that you can't drink if you're under the age of 21, and also now too, you guys can't be smoking if you're under the age of 21. If you guys are smoking right now, you guys can go to the Hawk, and they offer like tobacco cessation classes, and VHOP offers it as well. For those who are of age to drink, just make sure that if you're going to go out drinking, make sure you have a plan. Also know like what your limit is, because if you drink past what your usual limit is, a lot of things can happen. If you're also going to go out to, make sure you inform people so they know where you're at, and also like pay attention to the kind of drinks that you're having. So do you guys know about that? The red solo cup can be used to measure drinks? A couple of you. So for standard drinks, it all depends upon the alcohol content. So like the red solo cup, the very bottom part of it where there's like sort of like a line, that's for stuff like hard liquor, like 40% higher. Beer can be up to the very top line on your red solo cup. So just make sure that if you're going out drinking, if they are red solo cups, you can use that to measure what a standard drink is. One thing for ADAP, what we have is for standard drinks, for females, it says that if you drink 3 or more in one sitting, that you might be drinking more than what you should be. For males, it's 4 or more, and that's because guys can metabolize drinks a lot quicker than what females can. Another thing too with ADAP, there's different ways to get enrolled into that. So one way you can get enrolled into ADAPT is that you can self-refer or you can get command directed. It's better to self-refer to ADAPT so that way we can find out what's going on with you. When you refer to us, we will determine if you meet for diagnosis. If you don't meet for diagnosis, you'll get enrolled into ABCs. So with that, command won't know anything about that. And with ABCs, you'll only meet with us 4 times. The first 3 times you'll meet with us once a week, and then the 4th time will be just a 3-month follow-up to see how things are going. If you do meet for an ADAPT diagnosis, then you get finally enrolled into ADAPT. It's a 6-month program, and when you're in that program, you're not allowed to drink. And with that, you'll have like individual meetings to see how things are going, and then also you'll be having classes as well. So some classes that we offer is level 1. That will be your first group when you're in there. It'll be about like 3 to 4 weeks of that. And then after that, you'll be enrolled to aftercare. If you complete ADAPT, after that, you'll just have a TTM, and they'll just see how things are going and see if you're going to continue to drink safe after you get out. And command will know about if you do need a diagnosis for ADAPT. Do you guys have any questions in regards to mental health or ADAPT? All right, well, you guys have a good day.